Hi everyone, welcome back to Bernina Club. And April has arrived very quickly. The year is just motoring past, and it's getting a bit cooler and we're getting into maybe hunkering down and doing a bit of patchwork and quilting. So this idea is for the patchworkers, but it also is a great idea if you do hand embroidery, and it's also a wonderful idea if you have grandchildren. So I'm going to show you how to put together a really neat little idea here. And what I've done is I've got an old roll, which could be a post office roll, which looks like this, and you would post things in the mail, and they have little plastic ends in them like this. And these are really useful for sending things, but I found another use for them. So I'm just going to show you. So what I've done is I've just used all my old strips from my patchwork and put a handle on it here. And when I go to class, inside here, I've left this open to show you, I can also put my pieces of fabric that I'm working with, or my cutters or whatever in there. And on this end, I've made a little pin cushion. And this is actually just the other little plastic end, and I've left this one open to show you that it's just the little plastic end. When I've finished class, I will glue a bit of fabric on there, maybe with a bit of cardboard, and so I'll show you how to do this later on. And that just goes into the end of your little roll. And I've put, this is on here mainly because if you go to class, you don't, I'll take that off, you don't have enough hands. So by having something over your shoulder, you can roll up all your squares you're working in, which I'll show you now. So I've put a couple of little ties on here, and a little tie on here. So remembering I've only used my fabric rubbish, like they're just scraps. And this is all Kiwiana. And if you have a look, you'll be able to see all my Kiwiana that I've used on there. Alright, and what it is it is a roll. It is a roll, that was good English. It is a roll that you can put your fabric blocks you're working on, and this is a flannel fabric. So when you are doing your blocks, you can put it on the flannel fabric. You can layer up all your blocks when you're in class, and then you can take it home and roll them up, and your blocks won't get creased. But I then thought about this, and I had a look online, and everyone that's made these glues this bit of fabric onto the roll. Well, I think it's much better if you simply Velcro this onto the roll, take this off and Velcro this onto the roll, because you may want to take this off to wash it. Now, you need to think outside the square, because yes, this might be for quilters, but this would also be really good for hand embroiderers. And I'm going to show you what to do for your grandies. So what I've done on here is I've put the sticky back Velcro, and this is the hook side, the very grippy side. And on this one, because this was my first sample one, I put 2 1-inch strips. Then I realized I could get this in the 2-inch wide strips. For the next one I'm doing, I've done a 2-inch wide strip of sticky back Velcro with the hook side. And the reason being, the loop side, if you're going to wash this, the loop side doesn't catch on anything, any clothing when you're washing it. So all this is a rectangle of fabric. You can see there, these are just some pieced bits I did, and I've just stippled all over it, and I'll show you the one I'm going to make today. My handle has gone into the seam here, and my ties are on one end. So where the Velcro's going to go is of course right at the end of your fabric, and to work out where this piece of fabric goes, you simply line up the first piece here on the end of your roll like that, and you roll your roll around, and this is where the next piece is going, where this roll will meet. So it doesn't matter what size you have, you'll be able to line this up beautifully, and then you have it to take it off. So I'm going to, I'll put my block back on, So this grips on because it is flannel, and it's only $1.50 for a piece of flannel. So now I'm going to roll my block back up, and then when I take it home I can unroll all my blocks and they're neat and tidy. Tie my ties up. Your ties do not need to be this long. This just happened to be the amount of fabric I had. And then turn it over and tie them up. So I'm thinking that after I've shown you this, I'll show you what I've got an idea for my grandsons and see what you ladies think. So I think this is quite a fun idea. So you can make this for children, girls or boys. I'm going to show you an idea for boys, but for girls I've got another idea as well. So tie this up and you've got your little cute little bag. So let's pop that aside. So the one I'm doing today, and I really want to show you this because this is just some more fabric that I had from a class that I taught the ladies how to do this here. And you'll see by looking at this, I've quilted one side. However, I've made a mistake on purpose because I really want you to understand about your thread tension and your bobbin thread. So what I've done is I've stitched around here and I've stitched the other side, but I haven't stippled this side, I've only stippled this side. Now I want to turn it over and show you the mistake. So you'll be able to see this really nice and clearly. So what I've done is I've done black thread on the top and white thread on the bobbin. But you can see the black thread coming through here, which really doesn't matter because it's inside, but that shouldn't do that. Now, so that doesn't happen, when you're using two different coloured threads, Bernina have very cleverly given us this wonderful bobbin case with this little eye. Now what we do is we put our bobbin thread in because we do want white in the bobbin. So we're putting our bobbin thread in and our thread's coming around here, up into here, so you can see that there. And we're now going to thread our thread through this eye, and it's going to tighten our bobbin tension so that you will not see the top thread coming down. Okay, so we're going to tighten this one. So just cut the end of your thread. Do you know what? I actually try it without tightening it first, and then I put it in, but I know from doing that piece that it was wrong, and it's the only way to show you how different it can look. So thread the little eye, so there's the little eye threaded like that, and it will just tighten that bobbin tension, and I'm putting that in the machine. Now for the top one, it's just threaded normally and you leave it on standard tension, don't do anything. So now I'm going to stipple this. So what I need to do on my machine is I need to drop my feed dogs down. I have. So the feed dogs are dropped down. I need to bring my bobbin thread up to the top and have your needle stop up on. Lift it across. Pull your thread. Now I've got my white and my black thread showing on the top. I'll just cut this extra thread I've got going on here. And now I can start stitching. So because I'm going to be stippling, I'm just going to quickly grab my gloves because it makes it easier for me. And I'll just pop on my quilting gloves because quilting gloves help you grip the fabric very well. So these are nice cotton quilting gloves. And I'm just going to use those and they'll help grip the fabric and move it through much easier to work with. Okay, so I've locked off my fabric, my thread, and now I'm going to just stipple it. So I'm just going to do a little bit and then check that I'm happy with my tension. So just do a little bit first. And I'm just going to stop in a second. I'll just go around to the other side. So I'm just stippling it, nice big stipple. Stop there, and I'll put my needle stop down on, and then I'll turn it over and have a look. Okay, I'm still seeing that thread, so now you would change your tension on the top. So you don't do that until you've checked it. And I mean, you can undo that, but it's all going to be covered with the inside fabric. Oh, a little bit too far, you see, because I'm now seeing the white on the top. So you just do the bottom one first, and then we'll have a look and see what we think. So very, very important that you understand. Use your bobbin tension first, and then you can use your top tension. Hundred times better. Just move that about halfway. I normally would do this on a sample piece, but because this is going to get covered with another fabric, I'm not worried. I just want you to understand how it works. I'm going to have a look. Ah, a million times better. So I've gone up to 5.5 tension. The person coughing started to make me cough now. So nice big stipple. Oh no. And it's a very quick way of quilting something because you don't have to worry about straight lines. You're nearly at the bottom, so you can see how quick it is. And the gloves really, really do help. So I'm not too concerned about my stitch length here. It will be different because I have not put the BSR on it, but can't see it. Oh dear. Okay, we're nearly at the end. And then when you do get to the end, just lock it off. Just locking off in one place. Now, I'm just going to take that out of my work. Cut my thread. And that is how quick it is. So you can see, if I show you from the start here, and it was getting worse and then it was getting better and better. So what you do is you just change the tension till it suits you, okay, and when you're happy with it. You're not often going to have black and white thread, but you can see it's much, much better when you change the tension. Okay, now that whole piece is now quilted and I've neatened off those three sides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew a binding on here. So with my binding, I've cut it 2.5 inches wide, and I'm going to, I'll put black in my bobbin because I've finished with the white now because I'm doing a black binding. So I'll take that one out and put this one in here, and I don't need to thread the eye, but I do need to take my tension back to normal. Very, very important. And I'm going to put on my 1/4 inch foot. So this is foot number 37, and it's a 1/4 inch foot, which means it's going to sew a 1/4 inch seam, and that's what you use when you're doing patchwork. Okay, so this is my 2.5 inch strip of fabric here, and when you're joining the fabrics, you will get the other piece with the right side together. So if I put it up here, you should be able to see it. Put your other piece right side together. Oh, I need to get rid of my selvage. and put right side to right side, and that will be that way. So right side to right side. Now what I'm going to do is you're going to stitch from this point down to this point. So you line everything up, and I'll put a pin in here so you can see it. If you've got a chalk, mark it with a chalk. If you're worried, you can definitely mark it with a chalk, or you can just pop your pins on there. Oh, I'll just get it nice and straight. So I'm going to be stitching from this point here, which is the end, to this point here, and it's on a diagonal. Okay, so, feed dogs up. You've got to remember everything. Put your feed dogs up, and now you're stitching from point A to point B there. And you don't need to back stitch that. And you know that you can sew off your fabric and you won't jam your machine up. And then cut that thread. Cut that thread. I use my cutters a lot. Now this little seam here, you can just trim that back to 6 mils. Okay, and you can cut that thread there. Okay, pop that bit in the rubbish, or you can keep it. Now that seam is just going to be pressed one way. You don't open the seam out. So with patchwork, you just press it one way. Okay, now I'll come around this side so you can see. So I'll just press that one way on the wrong side, and then I turn it over to the right side. Now, not everybody, but some people now iron your binding in half. If I'm doing it on a large quilt, I don't iron it in half. I just fold it in half, but when I'm doing something like this, I do iron it in half. So it's really your call. It's up to you. It just depends what I'm doing it on, but on a big quilt, I actually don't iron it in half. I just hold it, fold it in half and pin it. But for doing something like this, I will iron it in half. It's only a small project. So make sure you've always got plenty of fabric, and you are only stitching this around 3 sides. Okay, I definitely won't need this much, but I was just showing you. Okie dokie. Maybe I'll just press that last bit, because imagine if I did. That would be tragic. So your raw edges together. Okie dokie. So again, you leave your 1/4 inch foot on. Now, if you don't have a 1/4 inch foot on, I have used before the number 20 foot, and I've moved my needle positions a couple of stitches to the right. But if you are going to do patchwork, you definitely want to get a 1/4 inch foot. So you can do one of two things. You can stitch it on the right side, and then it will fold, and you can top stitch it from this side, or you can stitch it from the wrong side and then top stitch it on the right side. Now I think this is a better thing to do if you're going to be stitching it on both sides, because normally on a quilt I would top stitch it on the right side and I would hand stitch it on the wrong side, but we don't have time to do that. So I'm just going to stitch this on the wrong side. And I'm going to make sure I've got needle down function on. It's very strange seeing all this unusual stitching on the back, but it's good to show you. So what I'm doing here is I'm just making sure the raw edges of the fabric are against the raw edges of my little quilted piece. And so I have 3 layers. Those are the 2 layers there together, and then the last layer here. So you just simply sew down I've shown you corners before, but you never ever can see them too many times. It's a brilliant finish. It's amazing the difference where you see your tension's perfect, how good your stitching is. It's very, very good to practice on a piece of fabric with 2 different coloured threads. So you learn how the tensions work and how your bobbin system works. Now when you get down to the end here, you just keep sewing and you stop a 1/4 inch from the end. Now the beauty of this foot is it's got little 1/4 inch markings, so let me just show you. So on the end here, on the end of the foot is a 1/4 inch marking, and so I've stopped where that 1/4 inch marking is, right on the end with the needle down. Then I lift my work and I turn it on the angle, so I'm going to sew out to the point. And again, don't backstitch. Okay, cut your work. Now, so here you are here, like that, and all you do is fold this up so that you are 90 degrees angle. Can I show you? Hang on. So 90 degrees angle, like that. And then you simply flip it down and then you start sewing again. Okay? I'll show you again on there's one more corner to do. I'll show you again on the next corner. And I think I've just lost my thread. So I'll just pin that. And you start from the very, very top here and backstitch when you start again. Okay, don't start a 1/4 inch, you start from the very, very top edge. So I'll just rethread that because for some reason I must have cut that thread. Needle up at the top. Always have your needle at the highest position when you are rethreading, and always, if you've got a needle threader, use it because it is brilliant. Saves you having to worry about it, and use your thread cutter. By using your thread cutter on your sewing machine, it actually stops your needle from unthreading when you start sewing, which is an absolute bonus. So good. So now I'm stitching down this side. So you can use this method for anywhere where you want to have a nice mitred corner. So if you want to make a little baby's blanket, you can do exactly the same method with some satin. Very, very pretty. And so again, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to sew down and I'm going to stop a 1/4 inch from the end. So bring it down. So I'll show you that again. You stop a 1/4 inch, and it's very easy to see because here's the end and there's little markings on the feet which are 1/4 inch, and that all lines up together. So you know you've got it exactly right. Then lift this up, turn your work and sew out to the corner. Okay? When your tension's like this, these are called eyelashes. So when you see that your tension's wrong on the back, that's called an eyelash. And I remember many years ago I did a class with Ken Smith, and he made us make lots of eyelashes, and it was part of our class. So it was interesting. So I'm going to show you again how to fold this. So this side you can see where my stitching is, and you just fold this so it's 90 degrees, and then you bring this back down and you fold it. Okay, so I'll do it from this side. So you're here, you fold this up so this is 90 degrees. Get my fingers out of the road, like that, and then you gently fold that back down, and you're going to stitch from this very top edge. So I'll just sew down to the bottom, and that is how we do our binding. And then we'll just top stitch it on. It's very, very, very easy. And that's the simplest way to put on a binding around a quilt or on a baby's blanket or wherever you want to bind a book or anything. It's brilliant. Super, super easy. And the 1/4 inch foot is wonderful. At the moment, Bernina have got a sale on the feet. There's 20% off all accessories and up to 30% off their sewing machine. So it's a good time to either upgrade your machine or to buy a new foot. So once you've sewn down to the bottom here, make sure you back stitch, and then, oh, needle up, and then you can cut your fabric right back. Okay? And there's my excess fabric, and that is how we do it. Okay, so now we've got our binding here. Now I'm just going to show you how to fold your corner, so I'll stand up here. So here's your corner, here's your binding, and all you do is you bring this corner over to here. I'll pop a pin in there so you can see it. You're going to top stitch it, so you put the pin there. And then you simply bring this side, put your thumb there, bring this side all the way over, and it makes a perfect mitre. And I'll put a pin there so you can see that. There we go. And there's your mitre. Okay? So after the break, I'll show you how to top stitch that on and how to finish this little craft item.